Similar lawsuits have also been filed in Texas and Louisiana, which have also passed laws requiring the Ten Commandments be displayed in public schools. The issue may eventually reach the Supreme Court. I'm Frida Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
Yes, we coming in hot this morning with Janine Latrice Perez singing Backbone. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, thank you for joining us for Community Voices, where we are live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. I am the host for the Community Voices, the Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise. And I'm rolling solo this morning. Tony is out of the studio doing whatever Tony is doing out of the studio. I'm sure he'll let you know when he comes back. But I am rolling solo. So glad that you are here. I want to take a moment to express my gratitude for your presence in this space. It is not lost on me that there are so many other platforms that you could be on right now, so many other voices that you could be listening to, so many other messages you could be receiving. But for you to stop right here, all the way to the left on your radio dial, that means so much. We are a non-commercial radio station. We are local. We are 100,000 watts, one of only a few in the country. And we are alive because of you. We are able to do all that we do because you show up for us every single time with all of your resources, with your financial resources, with your social resources, with your political resources, with your personal resources, with your religious resources. You show up all of the time. And for that, we are grateful. I am especially grateful. And I want to greet you this morning as you come into this space in the spirit of Sawubona. Sawubona is a Zulu tribal greeting, which on its face is kind of like a hello, a namaste, like a welcome. But it's also an invitation. So when I say Sawubona, I'm asking you, are you willing to allow me to bring my whole self to this space? All of who I am, all of the identities that the world has placed on me that I now navigate. If I can bring all of this into this space and we can dialogue together, would you allow me to be in your presence in that way? And then the same thing happens for you. You're asking me, Denise, will you receive me? Will you receive me and all of who I am into this space so that we can engage, we can talk, we can have conversations that move us to action. And so Sawubona is about coming together and recognizing the spirit of oneness. And that spirit of oneness is our humanity. There's absolutely nothing we can do about the fact that we are human together. But the way that we operate, the how behind it, the why behind our interactions, that's what we need to take a closer look at. And that's what we hope to discuss all the time on this show. It's the undercurrent for everything that we say. So thank you so much for joining us. I think I have a couple of announcements. I try to go through some of y'all Facebook feeds. I be on there in the middle of the night trying to see what I can see in terms of so is this happening here? Yeah, so October 4th. My Pink Mood, all male pink fashion show is happening on October 7th at 7 p.m. Christopher Q. Sims from Q's All Smoked with his wife Beverly, they've been on the show. They will be there with their food truck. All proceeds support breast cancer awareness through My Pink Mood, helping fund feel-good baskets for those fighting and surviving breast cancer, spreading hope, healing, and love. For more information, you can call VJ at 901-315-1356. That's 901-315-1356 because they are looking for more male models. Even if you don't think you can model, you can. Even if you don't think, if it's not something that you have done before, you are still well able to do it. I know that as a former professional model, that we can help you. We can show you how to do that little turn. We can show you how to put one foot in front of the other. We know how to do it. So just your willingness to be a part of this very important cause, supporting breast cancer. If you are male and you are interested, call VJ. Also, tomorrow, there's a lunch and learn with Marty Hamilton, the Senior Vice President at Cadence Bank. Learn why building a relationship with a local banker can be a game changer for your business and how to get started. This is happening Wednesday, August 20th, which is tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Where? At Rocket Lab, 120 River Market Avenue. And there is a QR code for you to register. If you are not familiar with QR codes, if you don't have access to the internet, if you want to do this and you need someone to help you walk it through, then dial me. You can call me on my direct line, 228-236-7440. That's 228-236-7440. If you need help registering for the Lunch and Learn with Marty on tomorrow. There's also a Greek Connection weekend, August 29th through 31st. So that will be next weekend here in Little Rock. They're calling all LGBTQ plus organizations. It's a weekend of fun and fellowship and UNITY. It's hosted by, that's Unity. It's hosted by the Grand Men of Nu Delta Fraternity Incorporated and the Knights of Sophisticated Gentlemen Incorporated. So that's happening next weekend. You've got tomorrow with Marty and talking about the bankers and your finances. And then in October on the 4th, you've got the all-male pink fashion show. So those are the announcements that I have for you this morning. Let us govern ourselves accordingly. That reminds me of being in church. They used to say that a long time ago when I used to go to church and we had announcements. Okay, so I wanted to choose the song that we were listening to. It's called Backbone. Janine Latrice Perez. I don't know her. She was at Pyramid when we were having that Black History music, Black music anniversary celebration, and Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing right here at 1001 Wright Avenue was hosting different artists, and I decided to go for a couple of them. I didn't go to every one of them, but I went to a couple of them. And Janine Latrice Perez, she was the host. She was the one who was facilitating the conversation. She was the one moving us along. She was the hostess with the mostest. She was all of that. And as a part of her presentation to us, she was also one of the guests. And so there was one afternoon where she was being highlighted. And so this was one of the songs that she played only a taste of. Of course, I downloaded it immediately as she was talking in that space. And since then, it has come up in my playlist more than once. And I've just been thinking about what it means to have a backbone. Now, in this particular song, just based on the words of the song, this woman, I don't know whether or not she's talking about her own life or not, but if she is, she was in a violent relationship, intimate partner violence she was experiencing. And so because she felt like she did not have the strength, she did not have the courage, she did not have the will, she did not have the resources, she did not have whatever it was that she needed, she continued in this relationship. But at some point, she decided that enough was enough. At some point, she began to realize that this is not the life for me. This is not my calling. This is not my ministry. I'm not built for this. I don't have to deal with this. I can go my own way and forge my own path. And that's what she decides to do. So it is encouragement. The song encourages people who are in any kind of situation, but particularly those of us who suffer from domestic violence in our homes. And a lot of times when we say domestic violence, we automatically think about a man who's beating a woman. And that is most commonly the case, no doubt. But there are men who are also being attacked violently in their homes by women. And there are also children who are being attacked in their homes by their parents. And so when we talk about domestic violence, we're talking about what happens in the home. When we talk about intimate partner violence, we're talking about what happens usually in a romantic relationship. What makes it intimate. You all are dating, or you all like each other, you're trying to date, whatever it is that draws you to this person physically and spiritually on some level. And so she's trying to give us the courage and the just to listen to her story, like listen to my story. It may not be easy. When we look at the statistics, we learn that usually it takes a person about 7 times before they actually walk away. They'll walk away, then they'll go back. They'll walk away, then they'll go back. And they'll walk away, then go back. So the 7th time is usually when they say, no, I'm gone and I'm not coming back. And that decision right there, on that seventh time, when they make the decision to walk away and they mean it, and their partner knows that they mean you, it's something about dropping that bass in your voice that lets them know I'm serious this time. It's something different in your eyes when you say I'm out this time. And so the person who's being violent recognizes that, and they know that you are not coming back. And that is when your life is in the most danger, because the person who has been perpetrating the violence realizes that they have lost control, because the violence is about control. It's about controlling the person, making them do what they want to do, act how they want them to act, wear what they want them to wear, be around who they want them to be around, not be around who they don't want them to be around. So it's all about control. And so once they recognize the loss of control, now they are going to kill. They are willing to kill the person, because how dare you walk away from me? Like, how dare you leave me? You are nothing without me, that kind of mentality. And so Janine Latrice Perez is using her story or someone's story to encourage us, to let us know that even in the face of danger, you deserve to be free. You deserve to be free from control. You deserve to be free to live your life according to your own purpose that you believe that you were created for. And so that's what this song is about. And I've been thinking about it a lot, because I really feel like one of the things that's missing in this formula that we need to come up with to withstand the perils of the political times that we're dealing with, is that many of us have lost our backbone. Many of us are being controlled by systems. On some level, all of us are being controlled by systems, right? Because these systems are working. They are working in tandem with each other. They are working intricately with each other. They are, honestly, if I could just be totally honest, it's just amazing. It's just amazing to see how these systems work together to cause and to heap the most oppression upon us as citizens on this planet, as humans on this planet. It's just amazing how it works together. And so in having to deal with these systems and having to fight against these systems, one thing that we absolutely have to have is a backbone. And that backbone meaning that the nerve to resist, because resistance is revolutionary, especially in this time. To have the nerve to resist, to have the audacity to say that you will not control me, to dare to dream and imagine and work to bring into fruition a new way of living, a new way of loving, a new way of being, to say that I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to stand up for my children. I'm going to stand up for my community. I'm going to stand up for my neighborhood. In order to do that, you've got to have something pushing you and motivating you. And it comes from that backbone, that firm, solid foundation that keeps you rigid. So when you think about your backbone, it starts like at the nape of your neck. I think it goes all the way down to your tailbone. And so it's keeping you erect. And so when you are being oppressed, when we are being oppressed, many times the posture that we are oppressed into, beaten into, overwhelmed into, the posture is that we sometimes just have to ball ourselves up, just to kind of keep the blows, try to defend ourselves as much as possible from the blows. So we have to ball ourselves up into the fetal position, or with our heads down and our shoulders back, our heads bowed and our shoulders slumped over. We just have to figure out how to withstand this. But when we decide to raise up, when we decide to straighten our backs and square our shoulders and walk firmly on what we know about who we are not designed to be controlled. That's when we begin to show the backbone that we have. Caller, you're live on the air. Community Voices. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You know, if you is a black man or black woman on this planet, if you are not mad, there's something wrong with you. I mean, you can't protect yourself. You can't provide. And I'm quite sure all black women ought to be mad in hell. They got a man, can't provide, you can't protect her. There's something wrong with you. I'm talking about a righteous anger. We should be mad at hell. I'm going to be honest. That's just the way it is. So I thank you.
Yes. So thank you, caller. The caller says we should be mad as I'll get out. It's a righteous anger. Righteous anger meaning I'm not just trying to walk out of here and blow somebody's head off just because I'm mad, but there is anger brewing within me. There's anger that has me that's boiling inside of me at all times. And it reminds me of this James Baldwin quote that I want to share with you. I just sent it to my brother the other day. It says, to be Black and conscious in America is to be in a constant state of rage. That's what James Baldwin says to us. To be Black and conscious in America is to be in a constant state of rage. And I want to point out these two words that James Baldwin includes in this quote. And it says, not just to be Black, but to be Black and conscious. Conscious meaning you are aware of what is happening, that you realize that there are systems of oppression at work within your life, keeping you from doing the things that you want to do. And it's by design. People say the system is broken. The system is absolutely not broken at all. It is functioning by design. It is designed to keep melanated people, particularly Black folks, in control. I mean, being in control of us. It is designed to control us. That is what it's designed to do. And that is what it is doing. Now, is it just controlling us as Black folks? No, it's working against all of us. It's even working against white people. And that's the part that we really have difficulty getting people to see that, yes, you are privileged because of your skin, because the system privileges you. But that same system that grants you privilege because of your whiteness, your skin color, will also oppress you because of your class. And so you cannot just say, oh no, that's just something that's happening to immigrants. That's just something that's happening to poor folks. That's just something that's happening to Black folks. We are all being impacted by these systems of oppression. So James Baldwin says, those of us who are aware, those of us who know, those of us who have an understanding, those of us who are doing the work to make sure that we pay attention to what's happening, we have to be enraged. And that's what the caller is saying. And if you are not mad, then something's wrong with you. And if you are mad, what are you doing with that anger? Because you cannot just allow it to fester in your body, because then it becomes toxic. And when it becomes toxic, now you are endangering your health. And so you're fighting against a system that wants to control your body. So we don't want to let that anger at the system then harm the bodies, because they still continue to win. And so we have to work the anger through our bodies. And one of the ways that we can do that is through storytelling. It's through organizing, through mobilizing, through having these conversations. Like, that's one of the ways that we work, putting plans in place, executing the plans, having strategic plans and goals and making them happen. Like, that's how we work the trauma through our bodies. The toxicity, we can work it out. We can also work it out through meditation. We can work it out through exercise. We can work it out through some kind of expression. Like if you dance, if you draw, if you sketch, if you paint, we can work it out in all of those different ways. But we have to make sure that we are handling the anger in a way that it serves us, because anger is absolutely a vehicle that we can use to tear stuff down. We can absolutely use it. We just have to be careful about it. And so that's what Janine Latrice Perez is asking us to do, is to find our backbone. Because we all have one. We were born with one. And I'm not necessarily talking about biology, because there are some of us on this planet who have differently abled bodies, but I'm talking about we have deep within us the wherewithal to fight for ourselves. Like it's the way that we were created. When something happens that threatens us, we have a response, and that response is to fight. We have other responses too, but we have a response that tells us to fight. So it's in us. We just have to recognize it and bring it forth and call it forth so that we can use it, use our backbones to withstand what's happening to us. And so I wanted to use that song for us to think about backbone and making sure that we are in tune with ours. And if we know that some of us, I mean, if we could just be honest with ourselves, like, you know you complicit, you know that they using you, like, you know that you are aware. And so you're not trying to do anything about it. And so I really don't usually have too much conversation with people like that. But once you are aware and you decide that you want to fight, you decide that you want to do something about it, okay, now we can have a real conversation. And so I also want to root this and ground this in our EJI tidbit for today. And it's from August 16th, 1904. So on August 16th, 1904, a mob of unmasked white men in Marengo County, Alabama, lynched Rufus LeSueur, a 24-year-old Black man, and left his body riddled with bullets. On August the 16th in 1904, a mob of unmasked white men in Marengo County, Alabama, lynched Rufus LeSueur, a 24-year-old Black man, and left his body riddled with bullets. So during the era of lynching, which is the same as what's happening now, just to be Black in the space was a threat to white folks, especially white men. They used our Blackness and continue to use our Blackness as an excuse to treat our bodies however they want to. And one of the things that I found most interesting about this particular tidbit is that these white men were unmasked. And so they were not trying to hide their identity. They were bold. It reminds me of what happened to Mr. George Floyd, where the officer had his knee on his neck. And this Black man, this grown Black man, is calling for his mama. He's expressing he's calling out because he realizes that his life is coming to an end. And and the perpetrator, the killer, the murderer, he actually basically looks into somebody's camera. Like, you can see him looking face on, like, I don't mind you looking at me. I don't mind you seeing me. I don't mind that you are aware of who I am, because I know that the system is going to protect me on some level. I'm not even worried about you seeing me. And so these white men are bold. They are brazen in their attack on Rufus LeSueur because the system is going to protect them. So even now, when we have the January 6th, the insurrectionists that showed up on the Capitol steps, like, they were bold and they were brass. They weren't worried about it because they knew that they were going to be protected on some level. And one of the ways that they were protected is that the Secret Service wasn't out there in full force the way that they were when Black Lives Matter was big and doing its thing. They didn't even try to organize in the same way. They didn't even try to plan all of the things that they needed to plan. They weren't worried about it. And so these men were, and women and whoever it was, and white people, Black people, all the folks that were there, were not worried about getting caught. And if they did get caught, which some of them did, went to jail, what happened? They were pardoned. And so the system continues to favor them. And as long as the system favors them, it gives them more and more, it makes them believe that they are invincible. And so these men lynched Rufus LeSueur, who was 24 years old. And then after they lynch him, then they shoot him. Like, okay, he already dead. And so now you shoot his body, you riddle it. That means it's like like everybody that was out there was probably shooting. That's how you get riddled with bullets. And one of the things that we talk about on the crime shows is that you can tell when this is, when somebody, it's overkill, because you don't have to do a lot to kill somebody. If you stab them in the heart and you looking at them and you see the life drain out of them, then there's no need for you to now slit their throat. They're already dead. There's no need for you to now stab them 57 more times because they're already dead. There's no need for you to now shoot them after you've stabbed them to death because they're already dead. And so when you have that level of overkill, it then tells you something. Everybody who walks in and sees it, from the medical examiner, to the police officers, to the detectives, everybody who walks in and sees this and realizes what has happened, they're like, oh, this is overkill. That means it suggests to us that there's a relationship between these two. Because for somebody to be that mad, to go through all of this, they're trying to send a message. They're trying to make their message loud and clear, and they're using this body to do it. And that's what they did with Rufus LeSueur. I want you to see how we feel about you. We want you to know unequivocally how we feel about Black folks. We want you gone. We want you exterminated. We want you eliminated. And we're going to do whatever it takes, because in a couple of these EJI tidbits, if you have the calendar or if you are receiving it online, you'll see where they are not only lynching the person, but they are leaving their body hanging. And this is what gives rise to Billie Holiday being able to sing the song and Nina Simone singing the song Strange Fruit, because they're hanging from this tree. Look at what this fruit is bearing in this moment. So they do it to terrorize. They do it to instill fear. They do it so that you will be quiet. They do it so that you will forget that you have a backbone. Now, let me be clear about something. I am not suggesting at all that the people that endured the era of lynching did not have a backbone. I would never say that. This kind of terror, this kind of these lynchings, and watching it and knowing that you could be next, knowing that your 8-year-old child could be next, that is a type of a paralysis that to me is totally understandable. I get it. There's no way I'm going to say they didn't have a backbone, but I'm talking about us now in 2025. There's no reason why we cannot raise up. There's no reason why we can't put our bodies on the line. There's no reason why we have to be scared every time we walk out the door because somebody might do something to us. They're going to do something to you regardless, and they're already doing stuff to you now. So what is going to be your response? That becomes the question. And I was thinking about this when I was thinking about my own life. I guess it was yesterday I was walking. And I thought about, so I am a survivor of domestic violence. So there was violence in my home at the hands of my father. It's interesting that my father had 3 children, but he only physically abused 2 of us. The middle child didn't receive it. And I have so many ideas as to why, but right now that's not important. But my dad, I think the first time that he hit me, I was 8. Yeah, that's when I remember. That's the first time I remember getting slapped. I got slapped because I think I rolled my eyes or something, or made some kind of face that he didn't appreciate, as an 8-year-old, whatever. But I was 18. I want to say I was probably 18 before it stopped. So it started at 8. I think it stopped at 18. And so that's 10 years of dealing with this kind of violence in my home. But what happened was I had gone away to college and I was driving my mom's car. We had the kind of household where whenever my mom got a new car, then they would pass her old car on down. So I was driving her Maxima. It was a Nissan Maxima, had a sunroof in the top, and that's the car that I was driving. And I had driven home to visit, and my mom was usually there, and because she was kind of like she wasn't really a buffer because she couldn't do anything. She was paralyzed herself in the face of this kind of violence that she had experienced before we were even born. So she couldn't do anything about it, but she was a distraction, and she was a helpful distraction. And so I expected my mother to be home, but she was not. And so I went in the house anyway, because I felt like she couldn't be far away because she knew I was coming, like surely she'll be on her way back. So I wasn't worried about anything. I went on in the house. And so I'm sitting in the recliner, I'm watching TV. My dad's at his desk, and I don't know what he asked me to do, but again, at this point I'm 18. So I'm feeling myself already anyway. I'm tired of what's been going on. It's a lot going on in my body right now. And so I was like, I'm sure he told me to do something because we were his hands and feet all the time. And so I said something like, wait till the commercial. I must have said something like that. And I heard him get up. He was a big man, not just, he was big, like he weighed a lot. Initially, he was big because he was a football player, so he was all muscle. But then as he got older, it became fat. So he was a big man. So you couldn't help but hear him get up. And so this time he walks over to pick something up. He's never picked anything up before in these violent episodes. And so now I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a new day. It's like, I don't know what's about to happen. And I'm in one of those recliners where it's not like my brothers have recliners now where you just use the calf of your leg to push it down. Like you don't have to, you just press on it with your legs and the lift will come down and you can sit up and get up out the chair. But back in the day when we had them at our house, it was a little crank on the side, a little handle. So you had to work that mechanism in order to get up. for your legs to be lowered and you can get up. And so because this is a new day, he's doing something different and he's coming for me as fast as he can because of his weight. I'm anxious, I'm worried, I'm nervous. I don't know what's about to happen. So I'm trying to get the crank. I can't get the crank. By the time I get the crank, he's up on me. He's got something in his hand and now we are face to face. I've never raised up before. And I look at him, he looks at me and I'm like, what we finna do? And he looks at me and says something to the effect of, why do you always turn me into a monster or something like that? And I just stare at him and then he walks away. And I'm like, wait, what is happening right now? He walks away, he goes back to sit down. I don't really know what to do because I don't really know what I'm allowed to do because again, this is a violent place. So I'm like, I feel like I need to get out of here and I need to get out of here now. And so that's what I do. So I walk and I don't leave the house. I just go upstairs to where my grandmother's rocking chair was because she was my soul. She was my balm in Gilead. Whenever we would have one of these episodes, I would go sit in the rocking chair and I could literally feel her come to me and sit with me and hold me and hug me and try to, help me through what had just happened. And so from that day on until the day he died, my daddy never raised his hand against me again. And I said to myself, well, I'd be doggone. If I had known that all I had to do was raise up and look him in his face and dare him with my eyes to touch me one more time, I would have done it a long time ago. I did not realize that I had that power. I'm thinking I'm too young. I'm thinking I'm a girl. I'm thinking he's bigger than me. I'm thinking all of these things that have me unable to defend myself when really I could have raised up a long time ago. And I feel like somebody out there needs to hear that same thing. You can raise up today and I guarantee you it'll be a new day for you. I guarantee you will send a message that this is not how this is going to work any kind of way. You're not going to keep doing this to me. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be any more violence that happens. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying that you get tired. At some point, you have to say enough is enough. And with the world in which we are living in, it's past time for us to say enough is enough. And I was thinking about this also because I was listening to Malcolm X. Someone sent me a video from him about revolution, but I had already heard the video. And so I had already heard the speech before. So because I had already heard the speech before, it allowed me to think about something else. And so I was thinking about Malcolm X and how people despise him so much. And when we talk about Black history, how you don't really hear people talk about Malcolm X. You hear people all the time talk about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When I was growing up, even as a teacher, it took me a minute before I said to my students, wait a minute, don't y'all bring me another, y'all bet not recite another I have a dream speak. Don't bring me another essay on and I was using that language as an English teacher because I'm particular about my language. It's strategic. And I'm using this language as an English teacher to my students in their language arts class because I'm trying to get this message. There's more to this movement than that. You had somebody up there, like not just Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. We can call a lot of people, but right now I'm just talking about Malcolm X, and talked about how he was like, listen, you don't just sit around and let people beat up on you. You don't just sit around and let people treat you any kind of way. Like you fight back, you defend yourself. But that's not the message that the system of whiteness wants us to receive. It wants us intentionally to continue to receive the message that says, oh no, just surrender your body, let them do whatever they want to do with your body, and it'll be okay. Have faith, be forgiving, be nonviolent. Like that is a message. That is one message. And many of us took hold of that one message, which is fine. I'm not arguing that. I'm not judging anybody. But there's another message out there that we could take hold of too that says, no. We don't have to do it that way. You can raise up and declare that you're not going to be the only one who has artillery. You're not going to be the only one who has weapons. You're not going to be the only one who has a nation. You're not going to be the only one who knows how to protect. You're not going to be the only one who knows how to provide. We can do it ourselves, and we can do it in the spirit of Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X and everybody else, Black Panthers, everybody else who says, look, let me tell you what you're not going to do. It's past time for us to say that. And so what's keeping us from saying that, one of the things that I think is keeping us from saying that is the separation of Black bodies from Black bodies. We think about integration and how for some of us it was a death knell. because what we thought, for some of us, we misinterpreted in the purpose behind the movement and thought it meant that the goal was to be situated in close proximity to white folks. Like if we could just go where they go, if we could just do what they do, if we could be educated in their schools, like we had that idea that then that will make my life better. And that's not the case. And so whenever we got the chance, even though we were living as community, because we had to live outside of the system, because the system did not want us. We had to live outside of the system. And so we built our own neighborhoods. We built our own schools. We built our own banks. We built all of these things we were thriving as a nation of Blackness in this space. And as soon as we had an opportunity to do something different, we separated ourselves from each other. Many of us did, not everybody, but many of us did. And we still see that separation now, where we have people who think, well, because I'm making 6 figures as a Black person, I deserve to live in this kind of neighborhood with this kind of house and drive this kind of car. And so you separate yourself from folks who are not in that same position. And so we have a concentrated with people that have, when you talk about the projects, people talk about the hood, they give us all kind of names, the ghetto, where you have a concentration of people that are living in a similar fashion with their socioeconomic status. And so they're separated from people who are living in a different way. And so sometimes because we're separated, we don't see each other. And because we don't see each other, we don't connect to each other. And because we're not connected to each other, we don't realize that we are still Black. Some of us think that, oh no, because I have a job, I'm a different kind of Black person. Because I have whatever you think you have. Because I have a Michael Kors purse, I don't know. Because you drive a Jaguar, I don't know. Because you got Louis Vuitton, whatever it is you think that's making you better than, or different than, or other than the other Black folks, then that is part of the problem for us. We have lost our connection to each other because we have believed the lie that Black folks are dangerous, Black folks are not educated, all these things that we believe in. So we're trying to separate ourselves from those Black folks that we believe the system is talking about, not realizing, boo-boo, they talking about you too. Because if the very president of the United States of America continues to be subjected to this system of whiteness while he was in office, as the highest office in the land, if his Blackness was still what was being used against him as a weapon, then what makes you think that you would be any differently just because you live in a gated community? And so our inability right now to bind ourselves in the spirit of Sawubona to the oneness that has us, that we have as Black folks, it keeps us from being able to say, we're going to straighten up our spines together as a unit, as a nation. But it does not keep us from doing that as individuals. And those of us who say that we believe, you say you believe in Jesus. If you say you believe in Jesus, then one of the principles that Jesus manifests for us is that it don't take but one person to change the world. You can do it. It's one person. Just get out there and start moving. You will gain the following that you need, right? And then the people have the power. Like, so some of us are waiting on other folks. We waiting on somebody else to lead us. We waiting on somebody else. And I actually was writing about that. I think the name of the poem is Perhaps. And I was asking the question, and I'm posing it to you. Oh, I didn't say this, but the phone lines are open. Well, you already know that. 501-433-0088. The phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. Because I'm posing this question to all of us. I'm positing this to say, what do you think about it? I said, perhaps what's wrong with us as Black folks not being able to get ourselves together to fight as much as we can? Because we're doing some things, but we're not as effective as we could be. And I said, perhaps it's because we're still mourning. We're still mourning the loss, in particular, of Dr. King. Right? So many of us, when you think about elderly folks, when you go into their homes and you see pictures, you'll see Jesus on the wall and then you'll see Dr. King. Right? Some people have Malcolm X, but most of the time you'll see Jesus and you'll see Dr. King. And so we have lifted up Dr. King and we have put him on this pedestal and we have raised him up to be the leader of the movement even now, we still hearken back to him, which is why I had to tell my students, I don't want to hear anything else about Dr. King, because there's so much more to the movement. There's so many more voices that spoke to us, that continue to speak to us, even beyond Angela Davis. There are other, even beyond Asada Shakur, there are other voices, and we don't know them. So perhaps we are still mourning because we felt like, because the movement was designed as such that we had to have a face. All movements have a face. The Black Lives Matter movement tried not to have a face, and it worked against them in some way. And so it had a face and it had a voice. Somebody has to be the PR person. And so Dr. King was chosen for that because of his oratorical skills, like because he was able to captivate folks and draw them in, because he was able to engage thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, because he had that ability, he had that gift. It was only natural to say, hey, you the one that need to do this work. Like by arresting, like, okay, we need you to strategize. We need you to work this thing out. We need to work you through. Okay, the women, we need you all over here. Not just the women, but we need you, somebody over here making sure we have the food. We need somebody over here driving these hearses. So everybody had a role to play. And so that was his role. But perhaps we are still mourning him because we put all of our faith and our hope and our trust in this one man. And when he died, our hope and our faith and our trust died with him. And so we're waiting for somebody else to step up and be the next Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when you already are. You have everything that Dr. King had. He had a will to do it. He was being encouraged by people around him. He had the capacity to expand his consciousness, because when he first started, he wasn't a nonviolent man. But he learned nonviolence, and then he taught it to the people. And so he had the capacity to say, I'm willing to put myself in it to win it, whatever it takes, renewing my mind, if that's what it takes, putting my life on the line, if that's what it takes, sacrificing time with my children and my wife, if that's what it takes. We all have that in us to do whatever it takes. We have the capacity. Are you willing to? Do you need therapy to get over your grief because Dr. King is gone? Now, we all need, every Black person in America, every Black person on the planet, every melanated person needs therapy because of what we've gone through. But people need therapy in general just because of the way we treat each other as humans. And so perhaps that's what we need to get through our grief, so we can stop talking about what happened back then and what was done back then. But we can take a page from Sankofa. Sankofa says, yes, let us look back. That's why we do the EJI Tibbets. Let's look back. Let us see the reality of our situations, and let us learn from them and pull from them, draw from them the tools that can help us now, as we also fashion new tools. We've got more creativity, more innovation now with the kind of world that we're living in, with this information age. We can do even more than they did. Why aren't we doing it? Are you still sad? I'm gonna need you to get mad, so that we can use that righteous anger against this system, because nothing. Let me tell you, I was talking to somebody who is very deep in the conflict in Gaza. They're very deep in it, and they were talking to me about, I think it was a pastor or a priest, a religious person. Let me just say a religious person who was going over there to do some work, to do some organizing, to do some speeches, whatever the work was. But as I was reading through what he sent me, so that I can learn more about that movement and through his eyes, I realized, and I did say it to him. I said, I'm afraid that the weapons that you are using are not fit for this fight. So when we talk about police brutality against Black bodies in particular, and somebody says, oh, my thoughts and prayers are with you. Your thoughts and your prayers are ineffective in this space. I can't do anything with them. They're not going to change anything. They're not going to upset this apple cart. They are not going to disrupt this system. They are useless to me in this moment. And so some of us, that's what we're doing. So we're going to pray that the Lord does something. That's not the weapon that's going to help us right now. You need a different weapon. And that's why I feel like we miss the mark sometimes when we separate Malcolm from Martin, even now. Because, Virgil Miller and I have this conversation. He doesn't say it to me anymore, but we're having different conversations now. Maybe that's why. But he used to say, well, I'm Martin and you're Malcolm, right? As if we were two distinct personalities doing work in a different way in a different space. When really we're the same coin. Right? We're just the way that we are, our how, our why. It looks different, but it's the same goal. Like we're doing the same work. We're trying to reach the same end. And so to put Malcolm over here, and then to put Malcolm over here, and then to put Martin over there, we separate the force that we would have had if we would unify those two. If we would say, no, there's a way for us to do both. There is a way for us to show up non-violently, so that we can let the world know, I want you to see who evil is, but also defend ourselves in the face of violence. It's possible to do both of those things. So we cannot separate ourselves from each other, which is part of our problem. We've got to find our way back to our connectedness. We got to be reconciled one to another so that we can do this work. But we can't wait on it to happen. And we have to ask ourselves, are you willing to use some kind of weapon? Because some people are like, well, oh, no, I don't want a weapon. Well, that's because sometimes when you say weapon, people think gun. You think gun, you think knife, you think switchblade, you think all of these kinds of weaponry. But really, if you ask me, if anybody asks Denise, the greatest weapon that we have is our mind. That's the greatest weapon that we have. Why do you think they really want to ban books? Because they don't want you to have the knowledge. Because what is knowledge? Knowledge is power. Why do you think they don't want their children to be exposed to the truth of who they are? Because then their children will see, oh, you're just a liar. That's what you are, a liar. You are a rapist. You are a perpetrator of violence. You are a defender of violence. The knowledge is what gives us what we need to figure out what to do so that we fight mentally. That's the biggest fight. And that's why we got to have a backbone, because we got to know who we are so we can fight for our own sake. Caller, you're live on the air, Community Voices. Thanks for calling.
I'm sorry I called back again. You really talking some real good talk. I just feel like that. In any situation or problem, you try to, well, you should look at the root of what's causing the problem. Now, in the South and areas like this, we have churches in every community. I don't know how many of them, but I have never been into a church that taught scripture like what Jesus said, you can do greater things than I can do. He's teaching you that you and him is one and the same. You see, so all I can hear is about you're a sinner, your nature's bad, which is damn untrue. How is it your nature be bad and it come from the source of our creation? We hear all these negative things instead of the power that we really possess within ourselves. We have to wake up. Each one of us have certain seeds in us. We have to wake that seed up, the light in ourselves, and be the light of the world like we should be, instead of putting the cover on ourselves. And if you don't have that knowledge, like you were saying, then you're going to get messed up. They spend trillions of dollars trying to keep you from knowing yourself, people, whether you know it or not. They keep you distracted with every kind of form to keep you from just coming into yourself, keep you bombarded with this and bombarded with that. You need to sit down, take your time, take a break, and analyze your whole life, what you had. Go back as far as you can remember and see what you at and where you at now and where you at then and where you want to be. Thank you, sister.
Appreciate that. And he reminded me of something that I was supposed to say when I was telling the story about my dad. So when I finally raised up and he left me alone, that was my opportunity to now try to figure out who I am. because all I had known from the time I was 8 was violence in my home. So needless to say, I'm a violent person. You should know that. I'm not ashamed of that. You should know that. I manage my violence on a regular basis. Every day, I make sure that I know who I am. I know what's happening in my body. I can recognize the signs. I know my triggers so that I can make sure that I don't come across, that I don't do something violent that doesn't have purpose. Because again, I do think that we should be able to defend ourselves, and I will do that. But I'm not just going out here just being violent with people. But once the violence stopped, then I had to say, okay, well, what is my life now? What does life look like for me as a person free from violence? And so I had to go through the season where I was the violent one, where I was putting hands on folks because I had to work that thing through. And then finally, I had to say, I got to sit with myself because now I get the chance to say, this is who Denise is. This is how she shows up in the world. This is who she's going to be. That's something that I continue to work, because that's a lifelong journey for all of us. But that's something I continue to work on. So what the caller says is absolutely true. You got to know who you are. And so you have to pull yourself, divest from all of what you are here. Cut that TV off. Get off of social media. Do a whole fast. Y'all be fasting at church. Fast from social media. Fast from TV. And so you can sit with yourself and decide for yourself who you're going to be, because who the world tells you are, that's a lie. From the pit of hell, that's a lie. And you need to know it. And so get your backbone. Find it. You got it. Straighten up and fly right. Come on out here with us and do the work, no matter what it takes. Let us connect together, no matter who you are, whatever your identities are. And let us fight to dismantle these systems, because we have the power to do it. All we got to do is show up for it. Thank y'all so much for joining us for Community Voices. We have been live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. Your girl Lola is already in the house, getting ready for Jazzy Tuesday. She's going to start with the ladies. And if you all missed these 2 hours, let me tell y'all something. These are the best 2 hours that you need to have in your ear when you're doing whatever kind of work you're doing, because she has helped every time I listen. She helps me. Just say, girl, I have to call her. Girl, what song is that? So don't touch the dial. I'm going to bring your girl Lola in with Lady Bird by Vanessa Rubin. Stay right there. See y'all later.
Oh, girl. Yeah, you getting awfully good at this jazz. Go on, girl, you getting good. The
Phenomenal woman.